Feeling these energies feeling quite scattered, tired. There's been headaches, sadness coming through. Just dropping in, turned on the camera to just drop in with myself. And reorient the awareness, reorient the attention back to what's true, what's real. To come back to the simplicity of the being. To this place that doesn't need to know or figure anything out. Doesn't need the answers, doesn't need anything to be different than what is here. And even with the body stuff, there's just this, as I focus my attention onto the being, and there can be a noticing of the sensations in the body, and a noticing of the thoughts passing through, and a little bit of nervousness here around being in front of the camera. And there's so much going on in our world right now. We're in such a huge transition time. And personally, it could be really up for people. The shadows really coming up, the pain coming up. And for myself and my own journey through the dark night of the soul, meeting lifetimes of pain. The teaching of the awareness and turning the attention to the awareness and being pointed towards truth from masters and teachers who rest and are living in reality, pointing the way to the possibility of being free from suffering. That's what got me through. When everything's super intense and overwhelming, the simplicity of the teaching of just coming back to myself, coming back to the stillness, coming back to the silence, as much as that's possible. And when that's not possible, loving the character as much as we can, just loving ourselves, having this incredible compassion for our conditioning, ways of being, and all the running away from ourselves that happens. Just loving our character love is what allows the dissolving of the patterns. And even if we can't feel that love, the teachings that there is only love. Love is the only thing, and love is what is orchestrating everything for our freedom. Just for myself, just having the faith in that and just chanting, I am love, I am light, I am the love, I am the light. That's who we truly are. And everything that the character is going through is the perfect orchestration for the wearing down of all the protection, all the strong opinions and ideas, the addiction to thinking, the addiction to running outside of ourselves and looking for something in the dream that's going to finally make us feel whole again. Everything is bringing us to the surrender place, a deep surrender, a deep almost giving up, letting go of efforting, allowing. It's all playing itself for our homecoming, to recognize that we have never been the character that we think we are. It's not, it's just a little costume and a narrowing of the energy and a forgetting. Forgetting that we've never been touched by the moving, changing in the play. Ah. The freedom that's always here, waiting for our presence, our attention to turn towards the truth. Where the space, where the spaciousness, where the essence and the essence of where everything arises from. And the devotion and one-pointedness towards this truth, towards home, even if we don't really know what that is, that is a part of what unravels the conditioning. It's this like heartfelt longing for home. And even though the pathway is going to spin us out into the Maya and the forgetting, there's this thread of longing and knowing. When we've had tastes of truth, we continue that. We never forget. And truly, we've never forgotten. God's put a seed inside of each one of us, a seed of remembering. And that's what we're all longing for, is this coming back to our inherent wholeness, a recognition of our own light and our own love, and not needing anything outside of ourselves. Not needing the world to be any different. Not needing ourselves to be any different. And the mind just wants to keep making problems so we can fix them. The mind wants to stay in the complexity of the dream, trying to figure out our lives, how to be more successful at our lives, how to survive. And everything, the majority of the Maya and the people in the Maya are pointing to this, about that there's a separate character that's supposed to figure out what I want and go after it. But that just is more of the character believing it's a separate doer, staying in the Maya and spinning in the Maya. And we all need to go through these chasing the desires of what I think I want, in order to see that even getting those things is not going to fill that void inside, that longing for wholeness and connection. With our true self. So the journey often requires a lot of that chasing to exhaust the ego out, and finally be able to turn within and say, okay, that's not working. It's not giving me what I want. It takes lifetimes sometimes. So if we're blessed with the seeing of the possibility in this lifetime, we're incredibly graced to even know that there's another way. And then that gives us the willingness to do the intense work, which is not easy, it's not comfortable, it's not fun. We're talking about lifetimes of energy stuck inside of us that's going to come up and be purged in the light of truth, as we turn our attention to the being. All of this stuff comes up to be seen and loved and received like never before, like we've never been able to. And as we recognize ourselves as the space of love, the unconditional love, we are that, then something feels safe. The emotional body feels safe to release. And we're in this huge portal right now. I can feel for myself there's some stuff bubbling up. And there's nothing that needs to be done necessarily except for to just be with ourselves and love ourselves and allow this process. And rest is the awareness as much as we can. Continue to turn our attention to the being. And this is why I turned the camera on for myself, to turn my attention to the being, to the silence from which everything's coming from. To eye gaze with myself, with you. it's very counterintuitive, that the separate me, the character thinks it needs to go out and do things to take care of ourselves, to make life happen, to ensure our survival. But actually, the more we turn our attention inward to the being and rest as that, the more we see everything is just being done. We have to let go of what we think we want. We have to let go of all the superfluous things in our lives. So there is a necessity to be willing to simplify and be willing to meet that edge of discomfort. If I don't do it, then how's it going to get done? If I don't do it, if I don't take care of myself, who's going to take care of me? And to really have the courage to go within and keep trusting in the teachings that, yes, it's the inward journey. That means continuing to turn the attention to the being, to trusting in that as we recognize who we really are, that state of consciousness is where we've always lived. It's actually who we've always been. And then we can recognize that the life is just playing itself out. And there's like a more of a relaxation, less efforting, until we get to that place of no efforting. The deep relaxation and peace that we all long for. And yet we're addicted to the drama of the mind. The mind has such a powerful stronghold over us. And the mind wants to figure everything out and try to understand and make and solve problems that don't really exist. But as we come to the being, we can really feel the true movements and just watch. The character is gonna be moved when it's necessary. It's gonna take care of things to ensure its survival. Or, this is the beautiful thing, we see that we end up meeting the right person or coming across what we need in a way we would have never expected. And that kind of magic we never get to see if we don't learn to just sit with the discomfort of the conditioned mind and how it feels like it's the doer. That's why I love human design, because it talks about the body authority and how the body is the thing that's moving through the life. The body is moving through the dream, and the mind is just talking about it. It's just commentating, right? But no matter what the mind is saying or doing, it's the life is living itself. And it's just our idea about what it should or shouldn't be doing that makes the discomfort and the suffering. So as we meet that discomfort and suffering and watch and just let go of the mind and listening to it, we see that life is just playing itself out and everything that's needed is brought to us. And there's going to be a lot of fear that comes up in that. Meeting that fear is a huge piece. Am I going to be taken care of? And yes, you will. Turning towards truth, turning towards God, turning towards the being. That's what we're here for. That's our purpose. That's every being's purpose, is to come back to the wholeness and the truth of our eternal being. And so we can trust that we are going to be carried in this journey. And somehow we need to prove that to ourselves by pushing that edge, not following the mind. Being willing to rest in the void of not knowing, the void of I don't know what to do. I don't know how to do this. The vulnerability of the fragile ego that wants to think it knows how to do everything and understands everything, but it doesn't know shit. It just creates its own little illusionary world. Keeps us away from resting in the peace. Yeah, so for myself, just feeling that, just dropping in. Feeling the restlessness of the energy going on, and yeah, just loving my character, watching her, and sensing that there's some energy rising up, bubbling up, in this possibly some a deep childhood piece that needs to be seen and met. And it's like I'm welcoming that, knowing now how to navigate this territory, just loving myself, coming back to the breath, knowing that it's all about this, and that the more I do this, loving myself, the more everything is just magically unfolding in its own timing, and I don't have to worry about it. I'm going to be taken care of, and so are you. I just want to send a shout out to all the men doing the work out there, really honoring all the men in the world that are willing to feel their feelings and doing the work, because we really need you. It takes a lot of courage, and yeah, just always just so excited when I see and feel a man that's willing to do the vulnerability work, and it's just so beautiful. So thank you. And the women, of course, but it seems to be easier for us to feel our feelings. Thank you for your presence. Thank you. All you master souls out there on the journey home. Thank you for witnessing me on my journey. May we all realize our true nature. May we all rest in the peace, safety, sanctuary of our true self, especially during this tumultuous turning point on the earth. May all beings be nourished, have food and shelter, and love and warmth. May all beings feel that they are loved. See you next time. Lots of love.